The laughter started before the teenage girl even reached the diner door. A group of bikers sitting outside beneath the bright afternoon sun glanced in her direction, and within seconds several of them were chuckling while pointing toward the oversized, worn-out motorcycle jacket hanging from her shoulders. The jacket looked far too big for her small frame. Its faded leather was cracked with age, the sleeves covered most of her hands, and the old fabric seemed completely out of place on a 16-year-old girl walking alone. To them, it looked ridiculous. But what they couldn't see from a distance was the patch sewn carefully onto the back of that jacket. And when they finally noticed it, every smile disappeared. By the end of the afternoon, the same bikers who had mocked her would stand in complete silence, carrying a respect they never expected to feel. Before we begin, if you believe kindness, respect, and second chances still matter in today's world, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to Kindness Tales. Your support helps us continue sharing powerful stories that inspire people around the world. It was a warm summer afternoon in the small town of Willow Creek. The roads shimmered beneath the sunlight, and motorcycles lined the parking lot outside one of the town's oldest roadside diners. Every weekend, riders from neighboring counties gathered there to eat, share stories, and enjoy the open road. Among them sat members of the Iron Ridge Riders, a motorcycle club known throughout the region. Most of them were experienced riders in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. They had spent decades traveling highways together and carried the confidence that came with years of experience. That day, their attention shifted toward a young girl walking across the parking lot. Her name was Autumn Reeves. She was 16 years old and lived with her grandmother in a modest house outside town. Quiet and hardworking, Autumn rarely attracted attention. She spent most of her free time helping her grandmother, studying, and working part-time at a local feed store. Yet there was one possession she treasured above everything else. The old motorcycle jacket she wore. The jacket had once belonged to her father. 3 years earlier, Autumn's life had changed forever when her father, Garrett Reeves, passed away unexpectedly following a construction accident. Garrett had been well known among riders throughout the state. He loved motorcycles, helped stranded travelers whenever he could, and earned a reputation for treating everyone with respect. To Autumn, he had been more than a father. He had been her hero. After his passing, the jacket became her most valuable possession. Whenever she missed him, she wore it. The oversized leather made her feel close to him somehow, as though a small piece of his presence remained beside her. As Autumn approached the diner entrance, several bikers exchanged amused glances. From their perspective, the scene looked unusual. A teenage girl wearing a massive biker jacket appeared almost comical. A few laughed openly. Others whispered comments to each other. Autumn heard enough to understand what was happening. The laughter stung. But she kept walking. Years of carrying grief had taught her not to let every unkind comment affect her. Inside the diner, she ordered lunch and sat quietly near the window. Outside, the bikers continued their conversations. Eventually one of them noticed something. As Autumn walked past the front windows, sunlight illuminated the back of her jacket. There, stitched carefully between the shoulders, was a faded patch. The patch displayed a name. Garrett Reeves. The biker froze. His expression changed instantly. Several others noticed his reaction. Soon they too saw the patch. One by one, the laughter disappeared. The parking lot grew strangely quiet. Many of the older riders recognized that name immediately. Years earlier, Garrett Reeves had become something of a legend among local motorcycle communities. Stories about him still circulated across neighboring towns. He was the rider who once spent an entire night helping a stranded family during a snowstorm. He was the man who organized charity rides for sick children. He was the volunteer who repaired motorcycles for veterans who couldn't afford maintenance. More importantly, Garrett never cared about recognition. He helped people simply because it was the right thing to do. The bikers suddenly realized whose jacket they had mocked. And whose daughter sat alone inside the diner. Among the group was a gray-haired rider named Victor Holloway. Victor had known Garrett personally. Years earlier, the two men had ridden together on charity events and community projects. Victor still remembered Garrett's generosity. He remembered how Garrett always stopped to help strangers. He remembered how much Garrett loved talking about his daughter. Without hesitation, Victor stood up and walked inside. The other riders followed. Autumn looked up nervously as several bikers entered the diner and approached her table. For a brief moment, she feared the teasing would continue. Instead, she saw something completely unexpected. Respect. Victor introduced himself and quietly explained that he had known her father. The conversation that followed changed everything. For the first time in years, Autumn listened to stories she had never heard before. She learned about charity rides her father organized. She learned about people he had helped. She learned about strangers whose lives had improved because of his kindness. Every story revealed another side of the man she missed every day. As the afternoon continued, more riders joined the conversation. Each carried a memory. Each shared a moment. One remembered Garrett fixing a flat tire on a deserted highway. Another remembered him raising money for a family after a house fire. Another recalled Garrett spending hours mentoring young riders about responsibility and safety. Autumn sat quietly listening. Tears occasionally filled her eyes. Until that moment, much of her grief centered around what she had lost. Now she was discovering what her father had left behind. A legacy. A reputation built not on wealth or fame but on kindness. Outside the diner, word spread quickly among the riders. By late afternoon, dozens of bikers had gathered near the parking lot. Many approached Autumn simply to share a memory or offer encouragement. The same people who had laughed earlier now treated her with genuine admiration. Before leaving, Victor presented her with something unexpected. It was a small metal pin bearing the emblem of an old charity ride Garrett had helped establish years ago. The event still continued every year. Victor explained that her father had been one of its founding members. Then he made a proposal. The upcoming charity ride was only weeks away. They wanted Autumn to lead the procession. The invitation left her speechless. Hundreds of riders participated annually. Leading the ride was considered a tremendous honor. Autumn had never imagined being part of something so meaningful. Several weeks later, under bright blue skies and warm sunshine, riders gathered from across the state. Motorcycles filled the streets. Families lined sidewalks. Community members waved as engines rumbled through town. At the front of the procession rode Autumn. She wore her father's jacket proudly. The same jacket that had once attracted laughter. The same jacket that carried a story nobody could see at first glance. As she guided hundreds of riders through Willow Creek, she felt something she hadn't felt in years. Pride. Not because of attention. Not because of recognition. But because she finally understood the impact her father had made. And the responsibility of carrying his legacy forward. Before we reach the ending, we have a special request for you. Comment below, have you ever discovered something important about someone after making a first impression? If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Tales. Your support helps spread messages of kindness, understanding, and compassion to people everywhere. As the sun began setting over Willow Creek that evening, painting the horizon in shades of gold and orange, one lesson became impossible to ignore. The world often judges people by appearances. We see a jacket, a face, or a circumstance and assume we know the whole story. But sometimes the most important details are hidden beneath the surface. Sometimes a faded patch carries a lifetime of kindness. And sometimes the people we are quickest to judge are connected to stories powerful enough to change our hearts forever.